You're listening to Teacakes on the Sis podcast, sharing little bites of life. Hey y'all, Assalamu alaikum, Ramadan Kareem. This is Sister Hoff. For those of you that don't know, the holy month of Ramadan is upon us, and around the world, out of 1.9 billion Muslims, the majority are fasting during the month of Ramadan. Now, we only fast during the daytime, not the nighttime. So before you freak out that we're not eating, not drinking water, if you smoke cigarettes, you can't smoke, and you have to refrain from relations with your spouse, if you know what I mean. We're basically just skipping lunch, which a lot of people do without realizing it. People who try intermittent fasting for health reasons, maybe their doctor recommended it or they want to try it out. You're just skipping lunch. Get up really early to eat breakfast before the sun comes up. No eating through the day, and then when the sun goes down, we break our fast. Typically Muslims, just for recommendation, we break our fast with dates. So we eat a date or maybe a few dates and drink some water to break our fast, to be gentle on our stomachs. That's kind of the nutritional reason for it. A lot of people don't know that. To be gentle on our stomachs and give ourselves, 20, 30 plus minutes before we go and eat like our main meal in the evening. A lot of people, especially in Eastern cultures, tend to eat their meals much later in the evening. So again, it's not really as difficult as people make it out to be. Yes, fasting can be difficult for a lot of people, especially if you don't work or normally have the practice of the fasting. I worked in the salon industry for a really long time, and in fast-paced environments, we would go all day without eating, without drinking. We would smell foods from restaurants. People would bring food in and we could smell it, and we just kind of had to push through it. So it is something that's a little easier for me, but I understand that other people have difficulty with it. There are also exceptions for people. If they have medical reasons, it's difficult for them. For children who haven't reached the age of puberty, it's not required on them Islamically. Some kids like to try it out or, do a part-time a day just to kind of be involved and sort of practice, or they just want to because maybe their parents or their household is also doing the fasting. Okay, so into the really important thing that I wanted to talk about was how we're breaking our fast and how we're doing our meal. So when you're going this whole day not eating, that's kind of a restriction. When you eat, how you eat and what you eat matters. There's a quote from the Holy Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that our stomachs should be filled with 1/3 food, 1/3 water, and 1/3 air. So basically, don't overconsume. Don't stuff your stomach so much that you feel it coming up through your esophagus. That's not healthy. And there are many people in the nutrition and medical world that will tell you the dangers of this, because this is putting you at risk of even developing the bad habit of an eating disorder. That is disordered eating, but the risk of it becoming a habit and then it would be diagnosed as an eating disorder. As somebody who has suffered with disordered eating and eating disorders in the past, this is really, really important for me. Outside of Ramadan, there are other recommended fasts, and I'm really careful on that, and I don't always do them because, again, they're just recommended based on my health and what my intentions are and how I'm focused on that. So what you're breaking your fast with is really important. Obviously, it's going to be recommended something that's healthy, something that's nutritious, a basic, normal meal. I did not grow up in a Muslim family or around a culture that congregated and ate these giant feasts and stuff like that. So for me personally, I would just eat a normal meal like any other night. But that's just how I do it. For other people, it may be more difficult, especially around the families they are. But at the same time, still, and again, if you're just somebody who's trying out fasting, you want to make sure the meal you eat when you break your fast is something that's healthy, nutritious, getting your protein. Yes, you need fats. You need that for brain development and brain function. And yes, there's a certain amount of carbs that we need to eat unless your doctor has instructed you to be on a low carb or no carb diet for a certain period of time. We want to develop healthy habits. The easiest one here, and again, I'm not talking about the spiritual aspect of it and other ritualistic practices that people have. I'm talking specifically about eating, because I know many, many people that try intermittent fasting who want to do fasting. I've had friends who've fasted the month of Ramadan with me, even though they're not Muslims. It was something that they wanted to experience and feel. And I knew somebody, it really helped them cut back their smoking habits, because you're not even allowed to smoke during the whole time. But eating something healthy, nutritious, you're starting to develop healthy habits and help your body grow and become stronger, heal from whatever it is you have, and function normally so that you can heal faster in the event you develop anything. Our health is so important. What you're putting in your body, it affects you not just physically, but mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I know there's times where I've eaten certain foods or I've eaten too much of something in a certain period of time, and it's caused me to be drained. I'm tired, I'm sometimes cranky or just lethargic, just various depending on what I'm going through in my hormones during that time of the month. Oh, and I did want to add, if for women, when they have their menstrual cycle, they're not allowed to fast. God has given us that break during that time because it's not healthy. Your body needs a lot of nutrients, especially iron. So there's no fasting during that time period. When you spend your day not fixated on food, not trying to figure out where am I going to go for lunch, what am I going to have for lunch, you have freed up time. And again, for Muslims, it's a whole month. You've freed yourself up time to focus on other things. And you do want to do that. You want to basically distract yourself to focus on something else, which I recommend healthy habits. That is the recommendation during Ramadan. Focus on healthier habits. Mindfulness for Muslims, that's our religious practices and stuff. Being present, being in the moment, paying attention, working on your relationships. For me, it really is a time to work on my relationships. Practice my patience and my self-control, because sometimes when you're hungry, you easily get angered or agitated, and this really is a time, and especially if you're not taking time to prepare your lunch, you can work on yourself and being able to control your anger, being able to hold your tongue, being able to try to not gossip, because of course for Muslims during the month of Ramadan, it is highly recommended to avoid it. Like, you're supposed to avoid anything that's bad, gossiping, backbiting, which I know myself being quite guilty of this and trying to improve those habits. I definitely want to focus on that this Ramadan, especially with a lot of the changes that I've had going in my life. I really want to focus not thinking about food all day, not thinking about what I'm going to make for my dinner. We call it iftar. I don't want to think about those things. I want to think about what are things about myself that I can improve. What are things that do matter in my life? Because again, we're not eating to cut ourselves off from certain worldly things, to practice that discipline, that self-control, focusing on our spirituality, whatever that means to you. If you are somebody who has suffered or currently struggle with eating disorders, I highly recommend getting assistance with that, whether that's medical, through a doctor, nutritionist, if you have a therapist, psychiatrist, or honestly a good friend who's able to be there to support you. There are support groups. I can, of course, put in the notes about different resources, including Eating Disorders Anonymous groups that you can find online if that's what you need to help support you through this journey. I could honestly talk about this for hours and hours and hours. Of course, personal conversations is the best way for me. I like to be supportive of other women through their journey, through their practice, and honestly, anybody who's trying out fasting and trying to know what is the best thing to do. What are they really focusing? What is their goal? Because you're going to have more goals. It's not just what you're eating. It's what you're consuming, whether that's certain things you're watching, certain things you're listening to. Try to cut those out. I spend a lot of time in silence. Maybe I'm listening to lectures. I'm trying to learn something. I'm trying to grow, strengthen myself, and focus on everything internally, not what's happening externally or with just obviously with eating and certain bodily desires. I hope during this holy month of Ramadan, whether you're a Muslim or non-Muslim, whether you're practicing fasting or not, I hope, inshallah, God willing, you guys do start learning to focus on yourselves and practicing healthy and positive habits, whether that's physically, mentally, spiritually, or emotionally, and all of the above, really. I hope this little bite has given you some knowledge or something you can take away and try to practice. If you have more questions or you honestly need a little help or assistance, feel free to message me. I'm going to have in the description of this episode resources for you and also ways to contact me. I wish all of you a happy, healthy day and holy month of Ramadan. Assalamu alaikum.